Hello and welcome. You're watching Rappler Talk. I am Rambo Talabong. Isa na naman tong episode kung saan makipag-usap tayo sa mahalagang mga tao na nasa balita. Ang tanong natin ngayon ay, dapat ba nating iba ng election substitution? Ito ba'y parang larong politika lamang o mawawala ng karapatan ng mga kandidato na mag-substitute? Makipag-usap tayo ngayon sa isang congressman na nag-file ng mga bill na gustong iban ang substitution. Kasama natin ngayon sa Rappler Talk si Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, Deputy Speaker at saka 2nd District Representative ng Cagayan de Oro City. Congressman Rufus, thank you to the program. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Rambo, and good morning to all your viewers and listeners. Good morning.
Okay. Simulan na natin kaagad yung ating policy decision, policy proposal, Congressman Rufus. Explain the bills that you filed in Congress recently.
Well, House Bill 10380 is a bill that will ban substitution of candidacies. Right now, Section 77 of the Omnibus Election Code provides that there are three instances when there can be substitution of candidates who have filed for the election. These are one, death; two, disqualification by the courts or by the COMELEC; and third, a voluntary withdrawal by a candidate who can be replaced by a member of the same party of the withdrawing candidate. And that is what is the present situation now. Section 77, my bill, will remove as a instance of substitution the withdrawal of candidates. Those that could be substituted will only be if the candidate dies or if a candidate is disqualified by the courts or the COMELEC. These are involuntary withdrawals. While withdrawal, because somebody withdraws and there's a replacement, is a voluntary withdrawal, which leads to really a mockery of our election system.
Congressman, final niyo itong bill na to last week. Hindi ba ang tatanungin ng mga tao, people would ask, isn't this already too late since the ball is already rolling in the court? It's already being passed around. The game is already ongoing for elections 2022. What is the point of these bills?
For next elections, we cannot anymore make this. If this will be approved, this 18th Congress, then it can only apply to the 2025 elections because our laws are always prospective, never retroactive.
Hindi ba parang magiging na lang to, Congressman, symbolic na lang siya? It's a message that we want to send out that you are against substitution and also incumbent officials applying for positions when they have questionable motives for applying.
This is timely because precisely we just had experience of the October 8 deadline. So therefore, if we don't file this now, nakalimutan na naman to next Congress, sa 19th Congress, starting July 1, 2022. That is why I had this here. If this can be approved by this Congress, so much the better. If not, God willing, if we are again back in Congress, we're going to file this early. Because, everybody is seeing that there are many placeholders yung nagfa-file, pero they are only filing so that they will wait for another candidate of the same party that will replace them. That is not good. When there's a deadline talaga. Pag sabi natin October 8, everybody should file. You have already a long period of deciding to file. And so when the deadline of filing comes, there is no other date. Like now, October 8 is the deadline set by the COMELEC for filing of COCs and CONAs. And then pala, through a resolution of August 2021, there's another deadline, November 15, where people can still change candidates and parties can still change. To me, that breeds instability. It puts surrogates, proxies, filing, which is not good. Pag deadline na. So you decide if you want to run, you run already. Do not wait for another 1 month and 7 days. So that is my message.
Congressman Rufus, essentially yung pag-file nyo nito mga bills na to, you're also questioning some prerogatives that are set by the Constitution at saka ng Omnibus Election Code. The first one is yung karapatan ng kandidato na magbago ng isip pagkatapos niya mag-file ng Certificate of Candidacy. Halimbawa, may kandidato na nag-file na siya pero within that 1-month period after COC filing up until the withdrawal period, pwedeng mayroong magbagong circumstances, biglang mapaisip siya na ay parang hindi ko kaya. Kasi ang description din ng COMELEC, Congressman Rufus, is election is a really big thing. It's really an important thing and you know that this is something that takes a toll on a person's life. Kaya pwedeng magbago sila ng isip. Bakit sa tingin mo dapat tanggalin tong prerogative ng tao na mag-pull out within that 1-month period?
Well, the right to withdraw is always there. If he believes that he cannot, make it, or he has another reason to withdraw. But there can be no substitution. It in fact gives a more powers to parties than those who file independent. No, those who file independent, if they will withdraw, there will be no substitution. But those filing with the party can substitute. Let's make this equal. Everybody who files, yun na. If they will withdraw, yun na. Nobody will replace them. That is my point. My point is that you can withdraw. If you file, definitely that is your right to withdraw. But I don't want, and we, the people does not want to have this kind of, having 1 month more for them to withdraw or not to withdraw. So let us make this final. A deadline for COC should be final.
Congressman, ito yung kaakibat na prerogative naman, hindi magpupula ang isang kandidato. Yung partido, hindi ba karapatan nila na palitan yung kanilang kandidato kasi nagiging empty yung kanilang posisyon na i-field. Kasi karapatan naman ng tao na pull out, dapat prerogative din dapat daw ng partido na umayaw siya kasi mahalaga itong desisyon. Bakit hindi na lang pwedeng palitan, Congressman?
Well, the party should get people who will definitely run, not those fickle-minded who might be withdrawing. And now, hindi lang yung fickle-minded. What is being done now is they are really announcing that they are only proxies. You see the kind of electoral system that we have. In America and other places, there's no such thing as a party and a candidate withdraws and it will be replaced. I researched on that. So only us allows this kind of a withdrawal. We should not allow that. We should already go into involuntary substitution, death, who can still be replaced midday of election day. Disqualification, the same, midday election day. They can be, because it is not their own doing. They die or they are disqualified. So not voluntary. In other words, parties should get real candidates to file on the deadline of the filing. So that should be the case. Not that you will say, you may be a candidate, so we'll file somebody to a placeholder, somebody muna dyan, proxy muna, and then substitute ka na afterwards. Let us not have that. Let us have a definite people should be decided to run. Now, if there's something that will happen, they withdraw. But there's no more substitution.
The second bill that you filed, Congressman Rufus, is that a person who is in incumbent office, kung nag-file siya ng COC for another position, they are deemed resigned. Hindi ba magdi-discourage to ng mga candidates? For example, I'm a mayor and they want to apply for a higher position. I'm a congressman, I want to apply for a higher position. Hindi ba magdi-discourage sila tumakbo kasi walang certainty sa kanilang pagtakbo?
Well, precisely. When you decide to run in another position, you should not have no business to be in that position that you are presently holding. Because your intention is to leave that office. For example, mayor, tatakbo pa ka congressman. Wala na. Pag-file mo, that has been approved in the previous election, Omnibus Election Code, Batas Pambasa 881. It is there, and it says that filing for another position, except for president and vice president, you are ipso facto resigned. And the point there is that, look at this, what's happening for the past many elections. Senators, run because they know matalo sila, babalik sila as senator, 6 years ang term nila. Okay.
Exactly.
So dadami yung kandidato for president, vice president, they run for the fun of it and the fund of it. Hindi na natin i-allow yan. Pag yung senador, mayroon pa siyang 6 years, mayroon siyang 3 more years kasi 3 years na yung nag-serve siya. Pagtatakbo siya for president, vice president, yun na. Di na pwede na. Sige lang, I will just try this and then pagkatalo ko, babalik ako. Hindi. That is why we are saying that once you file into a different position, you lose, you are resigned. You go for, if you are running for president, go for it. There is no returning back. The same with, barangay officials. Tatakbo yan pagka-konsyal, pagka-mayor. Matalo yan, babalik yan sa barangay. Kasi ang term nila different eh. Pag mag-file ka ng position, not your position, you are resigned.
Congressman, tama ba? Kasi ang binigay ko kaninang analogy, I think that was not an apt analogy, mga mayor, congressman. But is this more targeted towards senators? Kasi nga mas mahaba yung kanilang posisyon eh. Kung mayor ako, matitira lang naman mga 8 months, ganun. Pero kung senator ka, it's essentially another term. Parang 3 years pa siya, di ba? It's another year term for another tenure for other positions. Kung senator ako, 3 years pa lang. Kung natalo man ako, may 3 years pang natitira. So it's to discourage senators in seeking higher position or other positions kasi automatically resign sila. Wala na yung remaining 3 years nila.
Yeah, same also with that's correct. It will be the most affected of this bill will be senators kasi yan, marami yan eh. Maraming senador, tatakbo for vice, tatakbo for president. Pag matalo, ibabalik kasi may term pa sila, may remaining 3 years eh. But so is true with a congressman. Congressman running for mayor, for example, you resign. You are leaving the Congress. Your intention is to serve as the local level. So wala na. So you have 8 months that you are not going to be using your position to be able to run for mayorship. So that makes it a more level playing field for us. That ibang position naman. Now, the reason why hindi pwede yung mag-file na on the same position because you want to have continuity of service. Mayor ka, tatakbo ka for re-election for mayor, you will not be considered resigned. There has been a big debate there in 1985, the Omnibus Election Code, where that was found. The only problem with that Omnibus Election Code of 1985, before the new Omnibus Election Code, there is an exception, Rambo, except for president and vice president. You see, there's an exception. Now, in my bill, that is taken out. First, we restore the Section 67 of the Omnibus Election Code, which states that filing for another position, you are ipso facto resigned, and except for vice president and president. Now, this particular law was amended with the Fair Election Act 7706. Ginawang ni-repeal yung Section 67. That is right now, everybody's filing. Senators, everybody, yung bang may mga term pa, matalo, babalik pa. So yan. So that is why our bill will now restore Section 67 of the Omnibus Election Code. And will also remove the exception for president and vice president.
Congressman Rufo, since you're also pretty much a veteran when it comes to congressional politics, I also want to ask you how realistic it is na mapapasa itong mga bill na yung sinumite sa Kongreso. Kasi it is not in the best interest of senators. It is not in the best interest of congressmen, as in their personal interest, to support your bill. Kasi kung tatakbo sila, syempre parang ayaw nilang automatically resign. At itong mga congressman at saka ating mga senador, bahagi sila ng mga partido na binabanggit mo na gumagamit ng substitution. It's part of the political arsenal of our political parties. So, what makes you confident that these bills would actually hurdle Congress and also be approved by the president? Our president right now was actually elected, and thanks in part, according to analysts, because he was also a substitute candidate. Ginamit din ng partido niya bilang strategy yung substitution. So with this context, are you confident na maipapasa ba itong iyong mga bills?
Let's go one by one. As to House Bill 10380, the substitution, I don't see any problem. You know why? Because it's very logical and it's also very practical, and it's, of course, it will strengthen our political system. Senators have already said they're in favor of the substitution ban. So marami niyan. I can name also, but I don't want to. So many senators have come out supporting my substitution ban bill. So that's no problem. as far as I'm concerned, because it's just really a matter of making the filing deadline a deadline. Wala na yung change, wala na yung substitution. So I don't think that will be a problem. Ito naman, yes, may konting problema, but I think they will also, the senators should also realize that precisely if you want to run, then you have that risk, in everything that we take, there's a risk. Now, if they will be running during their midterm, but they cannot come back anymore, they resign. So therefore, we have a better selection, because those who are going to run are definitely going to sacrifice, in case they will lose, their 3 years will be lost. So therefore, I believe that they go into principle. Let's go to the principle. Hindi naman pwede na, like itong batas nung una, 67, lahat consider resign if you run for another position, except President, Vice President. Hindi na. Pantay-pantay na lahat. If you are running to a different position, then you resign upon filing. Now, for us, congressmen, mayors, 3 years term, that is 6 to 7 months, no? Because I'm saying also that if we have our ban approved, then we may go to October to November, the deadline of filing. Why is it so early, October 8? So that may time talaga yung mga kandidato to think it over. So probably we put it November 30. Ganon. Because before, it was November 29, noong una. Ngayon, November 15. So that, yan na talaga. Pero walang substitution. Pag November 30, file na ang deadline, wala na. We know already the candidates ngayon. Ang problema namin sa partido din namin, we cannot decide the Centrist Democratic Party of the Philippines, a national party duly accredited by the COMELEC. We will still have our convention after November 15. Kasi we don't know who are really running for president, for vice president. May mga presidential candidate, may slide down to vice, may mga substitute, papalitan ng mga kandidato. So talaga magulo ito. That's why we have a uncertainty of 1 month and 7 days. October 8 to November 15. So wala talaga. I mean, hindi pa sigurado sino-sino ang mga kandidato for president and vice president.
Mm-hmm. Congressman Rufus, if your bills are not passed, not in this Congress or kahit in the future, even if it's not passed, and what do you think is at stake if these bills are not passed? When it comes to our electoral system, what is at stake if these are not passed, if our substitution continues to be used as a political tool?
Well, we have a circus always. So there is a circus after the deadline. There's another deadline. It does not bring stability. It does not bring any stability and be faithful to our election code and our political system. A deadline is a deadline. Do not allow people to file in place of another. Do not let candidates who are really running file substitute for them. No, let us already correct that system. So I believe that we will push through with this. I think everybody sees in the House and in the Senate that this should already stop. Let the substitution be only on death and disqualification. So I think if you go to the rationale, the reason for this, people will find this reasonable and it will indeed breed stability in our electoral system. Deadline, yan ang mga kandidato. Tapos na. Unless disqualified or dies. So that is the way I look at these two bills, and we hope that there will be support from the Congress and our people.
Congressman, may mga pahabol questions from our Mindanao Bureau. They are asking you, if you are against substitution, why are you supporting a mayoral aspirant, Pompey Lavinia, who has repeatedly announced he would run via substitution?
Well, it's allowed by law. Precisely. That's why you cannot blame candidates at this point. I'm not blaming anybody, except that, it is still better to have a ban on substitution. But since the law is there, my bill will be prospective. It will be applied 2025. But getting that experience, then we should do that. In the case of my candidate for mayor, Pompey Lavinia, he has to finish many unfinished business in the Fibidec Industrial Estate. Officious the administrator. there's also a good reason for that because it's allowed by law. So there are those who filed who are in place, placeholder for him. Like President Digong, when he ran, he said he's going to stop. He did not file on the deadline because he's going to have consultation. So that's why he filed the substitute Martin Dino after about a month from the deadline because he went to Bicol, he went to Central Luzon, to the Visayas. So because it's allowed, then that is allowed. So we are not saying that these are illegal. What we're saying is that in the next election, let's have a better system. So yun ang reason dyan.
But Congressman Rufus, di ba sasabihin ng mga kritiko nyo, hindi ba parang hypocrisy to, case of hypocrisy, because you are advocating against substitution but then your allies themselves are availing of this. And ikaw mismo nagsasabi na ba't hindi na lang direktang tumakbo, bakit pa kailangan substitution, pero yung iyong manok, kumbaga, sa Cagayan, sa Mindanao ay nagsasubstitution. How would you defend that?
Well, their party decides on that because the law allows. He belongs to another party. He belongs to another party, and I belong to the Centrist Democratic Party. We cannot therefore have our judgment prevail over the party stand. No, so that is why since it's allowed, that's okay, and that is why Pompi Lavinia has also very good reasons na tapusin pa niya to get more investors in Fibidec and be able to give these services before he files, because that is a November 15 deadline. So his party is different from mine. We are into a coalition. In the city, we have a coalition na Padayong Pilipino, Centrist Democratic Party, and the Bagong Cagayan Movement of Pompi Lavinia. And so therefore, their parties decide what to do with their candidates. In my case, there is no substitution. I have filed and I'm going to run for congressman of the 2nd District of Cagayan de Oro. So we cannot really control our coalition partners.
Okay, so you don't want to impose on them, but are you discouraging them from doing that? Is that something that you at least frown upon because you filed these bills not really supporting that?
Definitely. The general rule is that we would like to have this the election system, the deadlines as deadlines. But as I have said, and that is why the COMELEC has said so also, that this cannot apply in this election. So we go based on what we have now with these experiences and the previous elections. Then by 2025, we will have a new system of filing where there will be no substitution for withdrawing candidates.
Yes, Congressman. May pahabol lang question din from our Justice Reporter, Lian Buwan, and I think this is a cure that's not related to legislation, but I think enforcement of the COMELEC. Ito ang sabi ng aming Justice Reporter. Should people who file COCs who expressly indicate that they are open to be replaced, yung mga sabi yung mga expressly na sinasabi na placeholder sila, those who admit that they were informed of the party decision days only before filing, parang I think she's hinting on Bato de la Rosa who was 2 hours before, tsaka siya na hindi ba dapat i-declare na lang silang nuisance candidates para ma-met out sila?
Well, as far as the law is concerned, when you file a certificate, you have the intention to be a real candidate. Now, if there are questions about your intention and your capability, then you file a case in the COMELEC for disqualification, or the COMELEC motu proprio can also go into an investigation. But always, there is the right to due process. And so even if Bato said that, you cannot just declare him a nuisance. There has to be a due process, either motu proprio from the COMELEC or a complaint against him. In other words, what he said is that he is just there 2 hours. That is still something that has to be investigated. There has to be a case filed for his disqualification. It is not therefore automatic.
Okay. So parang kung merong batas, mas maayos yung enforcement kasi yung sa current system, yung pagde-declare ng nuisance candidates, it's case to case. And sabi niyo, due process. We say due process, pero that also means matagal yung proseso, matagal. Parang hindi siya ma-enforce ng matagalan. Di ba, Congressman? Tama?
That's why when you say due process, it will not be finished to November 15.
Mm.
Kasi may hearing yan, COMELEC division, COMELEC and bank. So, wala. That is why the best thing is in the next exercises, political exercises, my bill should be approved so that there will be no more instance. Everybody follows the law. There will be no substitution, voluntary substitution. And so we have a better, graphs and a better system. The deadline, that's the deadline. Then people can decide whom to support. Right now, people are not yet, are not yet decided who are the real candidates, who are the final candidates for president and vice president. There's a substitution. And so therefore, wala eh. So we are 1 month and 7 days unable to come out with an informed choice of who should be our candidates for president, simply because there are those who have filed placeholders for certain possible candidates, Rambo.
Congressman Rufus, this is my last question because we at Rappler really value action of our community. Why should Filipinos care about this issue of substitution of electoral processes, and what can they do so that we can do better in our elections?
Well, really, this also strikes really a chord on Filipinos because yun nga eh, there is instability for 1 month and 5 days. There is uncertainty, disability, and our process had been quite used into a system where that is not desired. People filing because they are holding it in place for those who may file on or before November 15. Let us make it definite, clear, and therefore we have a deadline where after the deadline, everything is set, candidates are clear, final, and so people starts to have an informed choice on whom they will vote. This is better for the electoral system if we have that. And then also, my second bill, once you are going to file for another position, you are deemed resigned. That has been discussed thoroughly in the previous Batasang Pambansa. The only thing that they have is that they exempted the president and vice president. I don't know why. But in my bill, lahat na. Pag magpa-file ka, ibang position, out ka na. So that you cannot use that for your other position. But if you have the same position, well, you have the resources because you want the continuity of your term if you run for the same position. So that is what we have, Rambo. And I believe that our people will support this. This is of importance because we want to have certainty. We want to have a clear choice. And people would like to already decide early instead of waiting for 1 month and 7 days to know who are the real candidates.
Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, we talked about things on clarity, stopping instability, and having Filipinos experience an elections that does not confuse them. Thank you so much for speaking with us at Rappler Talk.
Thank you, Rambo, and thank you to Rappler. Thanks to everyone who attended this interview. Maayong buntag. Daghang salamat.
Sa ating mga tagapanood, people who are watching, your questions are noted. If you have additional questions, you can send them to me. I'll forward them to Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. And please continue to watch us and follow us through when it comes to covering the 2022 elections. Again, I'm Rambo Talabong. Thank you for watching.